What's up, boys? We're gonna do episode 2 of Retake guides. This time it's gonna be in Mirage. So we're gonna talk about B-site retakes first. So starting out here for retaking the B-site, there's gonna be a couple of angles that we're gonna be most worried about. Bench. We're gonna be worried about bench a lot, and we're gonna be worried about van pillar, and market door. Get right. We're gonna be worried about get right. Okay, those are our main issues when retaking Mirage B-site. Retaking kind of just means you're rotating as they just killed your defender, right? So basically, while you're rotating, if you're an A player, you can throw flashes over market that will keep your B player alive longer. But we'll pretend like you're really, really late now, okay? We'll pretend like they have market control. So we'll start here. What should you do? The first thing you can do is you can molly market from here. This isn't always the best option, but it's not terrible, okay? But you can start with a flash like this just to retake market. It's going to be kind of scuffed. There's no real easy way to do this, to be completely honest, okay? So you'll have to clear out market, and once you get market control, then that's when we can start retaking from market. So the first thing that we can throw a smoke that lands off of this box that will land in front of market door that will block the vision from van pillar, and bench, so you can come out market door and simply focus on the you can clear angles one at a time. This angle, then this angle, then this angle, and it makes it a lot easier to retake like that, okay? So that's the first smoke that you can throw. Next, you can actually throw a smoke like this, okay? Which this is also, depending on the level. You can throw a smoke like this so that you can get out, because it's going to be really hard to get out of market. So throwing lurk smokes like this for you to get out are really, really powerful. So you can lurk out with this as well. That's just another option. It's not anything that you have to do. Once this smoke is up, what you can do is you can actually molly E-box like this. Not a lot of people know that. You molly E-box or nade it before you peek, and it'll give you a little advantage on them. Realistically, there's not too many nades that you absolutely need to know for the retake. There's definitely some, but it's not like Inferno where I could go over grenades for hours, because it's not one of those maps. Mirage is pretty simplistic, and there's not going to be too many finer details that you need to go over, okay? If you're going to be flashing out market, be careful with throwing flashes in this window, because sometimes they do this, and sometimes they will bounce in your face, and it's not going to be good. And then I flash myself. Okay. If you have to flash, it's best to flash in an area like right here, okay? The reason that is because if this guy's playing close door, he's going to be blind, okay? It's not going to blind any of your guys in market. If he's playing E-box, he's going to be blind. And I'm pretty sure if anyone's really like holding for you, they're going to be blind. Retaking from cat now. This is what we're going to talk about. Retaking from cat is pretty hard. So we're going to assume that the situation is when you get here is that this is going to be smoked off. You have to wait. Okay, you absolutely have to wait for this smoke to fade. Okay, you can't go through this realistically. It's a terrible idea. So retake utility. First thing, you're going to need to flash. You'll notice a trend. Most of the flashes and retakes are going to be super basic, but it's just so that you can have, something to work with, okay? So we're going to flash. We're going to clear these angles out. Next, of course, you can molly get right. Now, it's not always going to be an option presented to you, I understand, but I'm just throwing these ideas out there in case you haven't thought about them. Mollying get right or nading get right, okay? You'll check this window first, then you'll check this angle, and then we can worry about it. Okay, so you molly, you nade, whatever. Then again, if you have a flash, you could throw one. But if you don't, if you have a smoke, what you can do is you can throw a smoke that lands like this. Okay, not a lot of people think about this, but this is actually gonna prevent anyone from the site from fighting you. So if you throw this smoke, you can scale up and clear get right, and then you can run around. And as well as you can jump through this smoke and fight a guy E-box without anybody on site being able to do anything, because they can't actually stop you. Okay, so throwing this get left smoke is really good on coming from cat, especially in like close situations when you really just need something to go your way. And of course, this smoke also opens up a lot of opportunities: nading, mollying, bench, all of the above. We also have a couple of flashes. They're going to be really similar to the market flashes, but flashing over like this is also really good. Okay, this lands in about the same spot, so it blinds pretty much everybody that you could see, and it actually does go through the tarps. So if I threw this flash, it would blind me through the tarp, I'm pretty sure. Yes, okay. So these flashes are really good, especially if the cat player is like late. You can wait and throw these flashes for your guys to come out market, and then yeah, that's pretty much all there is coming from cat. Okay, coming from B, first thing is you need to flash like this, unless you're here. Okay, if you're here early, then you don't have to do this. But it's all situational, Okay, so we'll assume that you just got here. You got to clear these angles out. Okay, you're good. Okay, we're clearing it out. Now, it's not very common for someone to be here in the retake because standing here, you can actually get spotted from sight, but it's still something that you should be checking. So again, you come up, check it like this. If you don't see anyone, now you're good to go. So Mollying Van, you'll notice a common theme in the retakes as well is that all of the utility that you would throw for the retake is actually the same as what you would use to execute. And of course, that may seem obvious, but it's not as obvious as it may seem to some of the newer players, okay? So, mollying bench, make sure it's a good bench molly, okay? This is important. I threw a bad one on purpose because if you throw a bad bench molly, which is really common for people because they don't realize it as a thing, it actually won't force this player out, okay? So, you throw a good band molly, it's going to force out everybody in this area. Make sure you do that. You're going to want to throw flashes along these lines right here, okay? Then you could jump out. There is a couple of things you can throw in terms of smokes, okay? You can throw the regular Lurk Smoke like this. That's going to block you from getting shot at from a lot of these players, and they can't actually make contact. And you get one ways in the side of the smoke that you can actually see players at. So, like, I just killed the guy E-Box, and he can't, like, his teammate can't do anything about it, right? The most important thing you could throw from maps is a bench volley, because it's going to be the hardest position to deal with. So, just coming out here and mollying bench, very standard. It's probably the most important piece of utility that you could realistically know for a retake on B site. And that's pretty much going to cover everything because this site is really hard to retake, so that's probably the reason why there's not that many grenades to throw. We'll talk about retaking A, and of course, retaking A is flashing over CT like so, about right here, to where anyone that's peeking into CT will be blind. Once you get this area right here and you clear this out from CT, okay, then that's when you can start to play around with things, okay? You could throw a smoke like this, okay, and what this smoke will do is it's going to land in between default and triple, and it allows you to get past any player that would be potentially opping or holding from ramp or apex. This is called apex. Stop people from Tetris from stopping you from coming out, right? So next, you can molly firebox. It's very standard, but it's still important to make sure that you do. Okay, so molly fire. You can also nade fire if you have a nade. Flashes, generally, this is a pretty good retake flash right here. This one you could peek with. It's going to land up here, and it blinds everybody looking towards CT. That's going to be really good. But again, be mindful of your teammates, because a flash like this, they can't even see it. Like, it will just blind them. So just be mindful of where your teammates are. Alright, coming from jungle, it's going to be pretty tough, because we're just going to assume that these smokes are fading at the moment you're getting here. But if they're not, then the jungle guy, you cannot be first contact. You absolutely can't, because there's too many places that someone could be opping you from. And it's not worth the risk. So you need to wait for your connector player to come up here and do something to help you. Now, what's really common is for the CTs to throw a Lurk Smoke along these lines. And this is really good. It's very strong to stop this guy who's, he's sitting ramp. He's trying to stop you from crossing. You can also molly firebox from here and connector. It's going to land perfectly, and sometimes it'll even spread to default. So that, again, that's just coming in here and aiming right around this area and just left click. Again, retaking is pretty easy on A. You'll come over here, aim to the right of this door and up just a tad. This will smoke ramp off in jungle. Okay, of course that's if you're standing right here. Okay, this is how you could smoke ramp off. From jungle, you can smoke ramp from CT right here while you're coming in. And then afterwards, you can throw the molly on top of Tetris from CT. You can also do this from jungle by just kind of funny. A left click crouch throw, you can molly Tetris off as well. Now, the reason that this gets a little chaotic here is because the CT players pretty much have the same jobs as the jungle and connector players. The way you guys approach the retake is just a little different. For example, again, it's really common for the CT to throw a smoke that lands here, and it's really common for them to throw a smoke that lands here. And it almost makes a wall, if you didn't notice that. And the reason that is because, of course, it's easier to retake when you don't have anyone looking at you. So, you could throw these smokes for the retake and get on the bomb. There is a couple of flashes that you need to know. For example, if you're coming from connector, or let's say cat, you could flash over like this. These flashes will not blind your jungle player, and they will not blind, well, they actually might blind your jungle player if he's not in a good spot. They will not blind your connector player, and they can be used to swing. Okay, you usually want to use these to swing because they go off behind me, right? So use these to swing these angles. Okay, if you're coming from connector, you could do the same thing. A little makeshift flash up here is going to be exactly what you need to get the job done here. getting in. Throw flashes high up in the air. You'll notice that all of the retake flashes for this site normally are going to go up here. Very rarely will you ever see a flash that lands anywhere other than in this area. That's just because the T's all are exposed to this. There's no real angle that isn't exposed to, you know, this flash. So it's very, very strong. You can smoke Palace or Molly Palace depending on whatever you have available to you. And that can pretty much be when the retake is on, like when you start defusing. A site is one of the maps where if you can see the bomb, because most of the time you can see the bomb after they leave, you can actually get away with smoking the bomb on the retake, and it's really strong because they're not going to be able to tell all the time if you hit them with utility or if you're shooting really loud. They're not going to be able to hear if you get on. Plus, having the smoke on the bomb is going to make them nervous. They're going to be spending too much time spamming, like, oh, maybe he's on it and I didn't hear, you know, that kind of thing. And it's really good to just smoke the bomb sometimes. So like if you see they smoke the bomb, then this is really strong on this site in particular, as well as a couple other sites in a couple different maps. The A flank coming from ramp on the retake, you don't really have any grenades to throw, okay? There's no real grenades to throw unless you get spotted, okay? If you get spotted, so let's say you kill a guy right here, the only thing that you could really do is throw the Lurk Smoke. I'll show you the lineup. You come here, okay, and aim in the middle of this and walk through, okay? This is a perfect Lurk Smoke. You can come out to the left side. If you guys have seen Vu's video, you can tell that this angle, it might be hard to see on stream, but you can actually see right through this, okay? I'll throw it just a little bit different for the sake of the stream's example, so you guys know what I'm talking about. Okay, so you can come out right here, and it's impossible to see from all the way back here. So this is one thing you can do coming from ramp, because if you have this area, they're going to be really, really scared. Plus, you can come here and molly afterwards, and, you know, just the normal stuff. The same thing from coming from Palace. You can't really throw anything unless they know you're coming. If they know that you're coming from Palace, like you got spotted ramp, then there is one thing you can throw, and it's this flash, like this. Okay? This is pretty much the only thing that I can think of that would be useful to you. I mean, other than that, maybe the underbow molly. Maybe you need to throw this to get out. It just depends, right? So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that covers everything, right? You know, I know that sometimes it's pretty common for the T's to have control of other areas like connector, jungle, and CT, but I can't really cover that in this example because it's all situational, and I would be here for hours. So unfortunately, that's going to be where it stops. In case you wanted to know how I do that, you just come here, take one step up the wall. You can't really miss it, and just aim here. That's connector smoke. So yeah, for the end of this video, that was Mirage Retake Guides. This is currently being streamed live on my Twitch, twitch.tv/AustinCS, and then there's an underscore at the end. Okay? Tune in for the next one. It might be whenever. Next time I'll tweet about it before I go live. You can be in the next episode. So yeah, that's it. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.